In an ancient and magnificent kingdom, there lived a ruler named Arion. He was a king revered by his people, wise in judgment, strong in leadership, and fair in his rule. He possessed everything a man could desire: vast wealth, unquestionable power, and the respect of all who knew him. Yet, behind the grand tapestries and towering walls of his castle, King Arion carried a profound emptiness in his heart. He had all the treasures of the world, but not the one thing he secretly longed for: true love. From distant lands and powerful empires, news of the eligible king spread far and wide. Ambitious fathers, themselves kings and dukes, sent their daughters to his court, each hoping to forge an alliance through marriage. Hundreds of princesses, adorned in silks and jewels, paraded through the castle halls. They were beautiful, accomplished, and poised, yet none could ignite the spark that Arion sought. Their conversations felt like political negotiations, their smiles like practiced performances. None could touch the king's heart, which remained shielded and lonely. Then one crisp morning, after yet another failed courtship, King Arion made a decision that sent shockwaves through the entire palace. He stood before his astonished advisors and declared that he would entertain no more royal visits. The stream of princesses was to be stopped immediately. The court was stunned. His council members protested, reminding him of his duty to produce an heir and secure the kingdom's future. But the king's mind was made up. He was tired of the charade. Overwhelmed by the constant pressure of his royal duties and the suffocating expectations of his court, Arion began to seek solace outside the palace walls. He would disguise himself in simple traveler's clothes and ride his horse alone, venturing into the quiet countryside that bordered his bustling city. There, among the rolling hills and humble farms, he found a peace he had never known. He found freedom far from the throne, in the quiet lands beyond the city walls, where no one knew his name or his title. It was on one of these solitary rides that his life changed forever. As he passed a small, well-kept farm, he saw a young woman tending to the animals. Her name was Elara. There she was, dressed in simple clothes, with a gentle smile that seemed to radiate warmth, and eyes full of a kindness he had never seen in his gilded court. She moved with a quiet grace, her connection to the animals and the land around her both genuine and beautiful. As he watched, Elara noticed the stranger observing her. Seeing the weary look on his face from his long ride, she approached him without hesitation. She didn't see a king, a man of power, or a figure of authority. She only saw a fellow human who looked tired and thirsty. With a warm smile, she offered him a ladle of cool, fresh water from the farm's well. It was a simple, unassuming gesture, but for the king, it felt more profound than any royal welcome he had ever received. The next day, Arion found himself inexplicably drawn back to the farm. He told himself he was just passing by, but he knew the truth. He wanted to see her again. It wasn't just her simple beauty that had captured his attention, but something far deeper. It was the purity of her heart, the genuine compassion in her gesture, the light in her eyes that seemed to see the man, not the crown. Wanting to spend more time with her, he maintained his disguise as a simple traveler looking for temporary work. He asked if he could help around the farm in exchange for a meal. Elara, ever kind, agreed. He helped her carry heavy bales of hay, mend broken fences, and feed the livestock. For the first time in years, Arion felt truly alive. He was laughing, working with his hands, and experiencing life not as a king, but as a common man. It was liberating. Days turned into weeks, and Arion became a regular visitor at the farm. He and Elara spent hours talking as they worked, sharing stories and dreams. He spoke of his travels, carefully omitting his royal life, and she spoke of her love for her home and the simple joys of her world. Without the weight of titles or expectations, their friendship blossomed into something deeper, something pure and undeniable. Their idyllic connection was shattered one afternoon when a squadron of royal guards thundered up to the farm. They had been searching for the king for days, worried for his safety. As they dismounted and bowed deeply before him, calling him Your Majesty, the truth was revealed. Elara stared in disbelief. The kind traveler, the man she had come to care for, was the king of the entire realm. Her heart shook. How could a king befriend a simple farm girl? Overwhelmed and feeling completely out of her depth, Elara fled. She avoided the farm, hiding from the man she now knew was a king. She felt unworthy, a commoner caught in a world she didn't belong to. We come from different worlds, she whispered to herself, her heart aching with confusion and a sense of loss. The gap between a farmer and a king seemed impossibly wide, but Arion refused to let her go. He returned to the palace only to leave it again, this time not to escape his duties, but to find the woman who had captured his heart. A king, abandoning his throne to search for a simple girl, it was a sight the kingdom had never seen. In that moment, the logic of the world faded, and only the truth of his heart remained. Love makes no sense, yet it explains everything. He finally found her by a quiet river bank, her face stained with tears. He sat beside her and confessed everything: his loneliness, his escape from the palace, and how meeting her had changed his entire world. He looked into her eyes and said with all the sincerity in his soul, Elara, I don't want a queen for my throne. I want a partner for my heart. I want you. When news of the king's intention reached the capital, it spread like wildfire. The nobility was outraged. A farm girl as their queen? They called it madness, a disgrace to their ancient traditions. They believed a queen should come from a powerful family, bringing alliances and wealth, not dirt on her hands from a farm. The royal council convened an emergency meeting. His most trusted advisors, men who had served his family for generations, surrounded him. They begged him to reconsider, to think of his duty and the stability of the kingdom. Choose wisely, Your Majesty, they warned him. The kingdom depends on tradition, on strength, on a proper union. But Arion's resolve was unbreakable. He stood before his entire court. The nobles and council members assembled and announced his final decision. His voice rang with a firmness they had never heard before. A kingdom built without love, he declared, is a kingdom that is already broken. My choice is Elara. On their wedding day, the whole kingdom watched as Elara walked down the grand aisle. But she wasn't adorned in extravagant jewels or a heavy crown. She wore a simple, elegant dress that highlighted her natural grace. As she stood beside her king, it wasn't gold or diamonds that shone the brightest, but the pure, undeniable love that radiated between them. Elara became a new kind of queen. She never forgot where she came from. Her humble background gave her a unique empathy for the common people. She used her position to establish programs to help the poor, improve farming techniques, and ensure every child had access to education. The people, who were initially skeptical, grew to adore her. She was their queen, one of them. Under the joint rule of King Arion and Queen Elara, the kingdom flourished in ways it never had before. His wisdom, now tempered with love and compassion, and her practical, heartfelt leadership created an era of unprecedented peace and prosperity. Love had made the king wise, and it had made the queen beloved by all. Centuries have passed since their time, but their story lives on. It is a legend whispered from parents to children, a timeless tale of the king who rejected all the princesses in the world to marry the simple farm girl who offered him a drink of water and in doing so touched his heart. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales that touch the heart. See you next time.